Most gardeners think the only way to grow more food is to add more beds, more square footage, more soil, more space. And when production feels limited, the instinct is always to expand outward. But that assumption ignores the most underused dimension in almost every garden: height. A standard 4x8 raised bed has 32 square feet of ground space, but it also has 6 to 8 feet of vertical space above it that most gardeners leave completely empty. That unused air is free growing space. Most gardens are designed in one layer. High-yield gardens are designed in three. When you train crops upward instead of letting them sprawl across the ground, you convert that empty vertical space into production without adding a single extra square foot. The math is simple. A cucumber vine that sprawls across the ground takes up 8 to 10 square feet. The same vine grown up a trellis takes up 1 square foot. You just freed up 7 to 9 square feet for other crops while growing the same amount of cucumbers. Multiply that across multiple crops, and the output of a single bed can double or triple without expanding its footprint. And once you start thinking this way, you stop asking how much space you have and start asking how many layers you're actually using, because space is not just width and length, it's height, timing, and structure. In this video, I'm going to show you which crops benefit most from vertical growing, the structures that actually hold up through an entire season, and how to build a layered layout that increases production instead of creating shade and competition. And stay to the end because the last crop is the one that completely changes what's possible in a small space, and most gardeners never think to trellis it. The first and most important crop to grow vertically is pole beans. A bush bean plant takes up about 6 inches of ground space and produces one short harvest over about 2 weeks. A pole bean takes the same space but climbs 6 to 8 feet upward and produces continuously for 8 to 10 weeks. That difference alone changes the math of your garden. One pole bean plant can produce 1 to 2 pounds of beans. 5 or 6 plants along a single trellis can produce 6 to 12 pounds from roughly 1 square foot of ground space. That is one of the highest yields per square foot you can achieve, and the structure does not need to be complicated. 2 sturdy stakes with string, a section of wire fencing or bamboo poles leaned together in a teepee shape all work. Pole beans naturally wrap and climb. You do not need to tie them, just give them something vertical and they will take over that space. Plant seeds 4 to 6 inches apart once soil reaches 60 degrees, and they will produce steadily until frost. And what makes pole beans even more valuable in a vertical system is that they improve the soil while they grow. They are nitrogen-fixing plants, which means they pull nitrogen from the air and convert it into a form that benefits nearby crops. So your vertical layer is not just producing food, it is actively supporting everything planted beneath it. The second crop is cucumbers. Most gardeners let cucumbers sprawl across the ground, which takes up 6 to 10 square feet per plant and creates ideal conditions for disease. Leaves sit in humid, stagnant air. Moisture stays trapped. Powdery mildew spreads quickly. Growing cucumbers on a trellis changes that environment completely. The leaves are lifted into moving air so they dry faster. The fruit hangs instead of sitting on damp soil, which reduces rot and pest damage. And harvesting becomes faster because you can see every cucumber instead of digging through a tangled mess of leaves. The footprint shrinks from 8 square feet to about 1. Use a sturdy trellis at least 5 feet tall and space plants about 12 inches apart. In the first couple of weeks, you may need to guide the vine upward, but once it attaches, it climbs naturally. The difference is immediate. Cleaner fruit, less disease pressure, and reclaimed space that you can immediately reuse. The third crop is indeterminate tomatoes. Most gardeners support tomatoes, but they do not think of it as vertical gardening. It is one of the most important examples. An unsupported tomato plant sprawls across 3 to 4 feet of ground space. Fruit touches the soil. Lower leaves sit in humid air. Disease starts at the bottom and works its way up. Harvesting becomes slow and inefficient because you cannot see the fruit clearly. A properly supported tomato grows upward in a controlled column of about 1 square foot. The fruit hangs cleanly off the vine. Lower leaves can be removed to improve airflow, and you can see every tomato without digging through the plant. The key is using support that is strong enough for the full season. Those small cone-shaped cages collapse once the plant is loaded with fruit. Use a heavy cage at least 5 feet tall or a 6-foot stake with ties placed every 8 to 10 inches. Prune suckers below the first flower cluster to maintain structure and prevent overcrowding. A single indeterminate tomato can produce 15 to 25 pounds of fruit from that footprint. And because the plant is vertical, you can plant lower crops at its base without competition for space. The fourth crop is peas. Like pole beans, peas are natural climbers that take up almost no ground space when given support. Plant them early in the season along a trellis and they will climb 3 to 5 feet. They produce in cool weather, making them an ideal early season vertical crop. And this is where vertical gardening starts compounding instead of just stacking. When peas finish in early summer, that same trellis becomes available for beans or cucumbers. One structure, 2 harvests, same space. You are not just using vertical space, you are reusing it across time. That is how output multiplies without expanding your garden. The fifth crop, and the one I mentioned at the beginning, is small melons. Cantaloupe, honeydew, and small watermelon varieties like Sugar Baby can all be grown vertically. Most people assume melons need to sprawl across the ground because the fruit is heavy. That is true for large varieties, but smaller melons produce fruit that weighs 2 to 5 pounds, which is easily supported with a simple sling. The advantage is dramatic. A ground-sprawling melon vine can take up 15 to 25 square feet. The same vine trained upward takes up about 2 square feet. That is a 10 to 1 difference in space usage. As the fruit develops, support it with a cloth sling or mesh bag tied to the trellis. This takes less than a minute per fruit and prevents stress on the vine. Vertical melons also benefit from better airflow and more consistent sunlight exposure, which often leads to more even ripening and improved flavor. I started trellising small watermelons in a space where I could not fit a ground vine, and 3 plants on a single trellis produced multiple melons in an area that would normally fit only 1 sprawling plant. And once you see that, it changes how you think about every other crop. And the final step is putting all of this into a layout that actually works as a system. Install a trellis along the back or north edge of your bed. That becomes your vertical zone. In spring, peas climb the trellis first. When they finish, replace them with beans or cucumbers for summer. In front of that vertical layer, plant your mid-height crops, tomatoes, peppers, bush beans. At the front, plant low crops, greens and herbs. Now your bed is producing in 3 layers at once: vertical, mid, and ground. Each layer is using a different part of the same space, which is why the total output increases without overcrowding. The one mistake that causes vertical gardening to fail is placement. If you put your trellis on the south side, it will shade everything behind it. You always place vertical structures on the north side so they receive full sun while casting minimal shadow over the rest of the bed. When done correctly, vertical gardening transforms productivity, more food, cleaner harvests, less disease, and a system that uses every inch of space intentionally because the limitation was never your space, it was your layout.